Today, we're going to talk about a true master of disguise, a germ that's one of the most common and sometimes one of the most dangerous bacteria out there. It's a constant companion, a microscopic roommate that most of us are carrying around every single day. So let's get right into it. Let me just ask you this. What if one of the world's most dangerous germs wasn't some kind of outside invader? What if it was already living on your skin, in your nose, right this very second, just waiting for its moment? Well, that's not some what-if scenario. It's the actual reality of Staphylococcus. See, for most of our lives, it's not some alien attacker. It's much more like a quiet, microscopic roommate. To really wrap your head around this, let's start with a number that is, well, it's just mind-blowing. The average human body is home to about 100 trillion microorganisms. Think about that. That's 10 times more microbial cells than our own human cells. We are, and this is no exaggeration, walking, talking ecosystems. And staph is just a natural part of that ecosystem, a world it's perfectly built for, thriving on our salty, slightly acidic skin. And most of the time, this roommate is a pretty good one. Staph bacteria, especially the ones in our nose and on our skin, are what scientists call commensal organisms. All that really means is they live with us, they get some benefit from the arrangement, and usually they cause us absolutely no harm at all. Now, this staph family is huge. We're talking over 50 species, but we can really split them into two main groups. On one side, you've got the quiet neighbors. Scientists call them coagulase-negative staph. It just means they lack a certain enzyme that makes them less aggressive. They mostly just mind their own business. But then, on the other side, you've got the troublemaker, Staphylococcus aureus. This is the one that's responsible for the most serious staph infections. So here's the critical question. What's the trigger? What turns this quiet roommate into a dangerous home invader? Well, it all boils down to one simple thing: opportunity. I want you to picture your skin like the wall of a fortress. It's this amazing barrier that keeps all the bad stuff out. But any little breach in that wall, a tiny cut, a scrape, even an insect bite, is basically like leaving the front gate wide open. And this is exactly how it kicks off. That barrier gets broken, and the staph that was just hanging out peacefully on the surface sees its chance and dives right in. Of course, your immune system rushes to the scene, and the battle that follows creates all the inflammation, the pus, and the pain that we recognize as a common skin infection, like a boil or impetigo. But what happens when that local battle is lost? When the invader isn't contained? That's when we enter a much, much more dangerous phase: a systemic invasion. The key word you need to know here is bacteremia. This is the absolute turning point. It means the staph bacteria have broken out of that local fight and have made it into the superhighway of your body, your bloodstream. And once it's in the bloodstream, it has an all-access pass. It can go literally anywhere: your heart, your lungs, your bones, even your brain. This is where things can get truly life-threatening. The infection spreads and starts setting up new colonies in vital organs. Doctors call this septic metastases, and it can lead to all sorts of severe conditions like pneumonia, deep bone infections, or a dangerous inflammation of the heart lining called endocarditis. And just to make things more complicated, we have the rise of the superbug. You've almost certainly heard of MRSA. It stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. This is basically a strain of staph that has evolved to survive many of our best antibiotics, which makes these already dangerous infections incredibly difficult to treat. But there's actually another level of danger, one that doesn't even require the bacteria to spread all over your body. Some strains of staph can wage war using powerful chemical weapons: toxins. The most infamous example of this is toxic shock syndrome, or TSS. Now, this isn't caused by the bacteria spreading around, but by a specific toxin they release. This toxin basically tricks the body's own immune system into launching a catastrophic self-destructive attack. And the progression of this syndrome is just terrifyingly fast, and it usually starts with a few key signs. It often kicks off with a sudden spiking fever. Your body temperature just shoots up out of nowhere. That's often followed by a rash that can look a lot like a bad sunburn spreading all over the body. And it can all lead to a sudden, dangerous drop in blood pressure, which causes shock as the body's vital organs start to fail. And make no mistake, this isn't some minor illness. The mortality rate for toxic shock syndrome is around 30%. It is a true medical emergency. Okay, so after hearing all that, it's pretty easy to feel powerless against this hidden germ, right? But here's the really good news. Our best defense is surprisingly simple, and it's incredibly effective. So what can we actually do? Well, prevention is everything. It really starts with the basics, like just washing your hands thoroughly. It means if you get a cut or scrape, you clean it properly and keep it covered. It means resisting that urge to squeeze a boil, which can actually push the bacteria deeper into your tissues. It's about not sharing personal things like towels or razors. And crucially, it's about supporting the responsible use of antibiotics so we don't help create more of these superbugs. And this all brings us to a final thought from the great Louis Pasteur, which just perfectly sums everything up. Instead of striving to kill the microbes in the wounds, would it not be more reasonable not to introduce them? Staph is a roommate we have to live with, but by being smart about our defenses, we can make sure it always, always remains a peaceful one.